Okay, everybody, I'm on here. Listen, I wanted to do a little test before it was actual time. I hope you can hear me. If you can't, I'll do a quick refresh on here. So, can you hear me? Yeah, Teresa, we got, I think I've got about 8 inches of snow out there. My back deck, I removed the snow 3 times yesterday, and I still got about an inch on there this morning. And the roads around here look like they're all plowed, but it looks like they were all probably about similar to what my backyard looked like as far as the amounts. Can you hear me? That's the next thing. Let me do a refresh. Oh, loud and clear. Okay. I just about hit the refresh up there. I've been up a few hours. Pup got me up early this morning. He wanted to go out and punch yellow holes in the snow out there, so he did a good job. What kind of snow did the rest of you get out there, or do you live in the areas that had the snow? I do have my coffee this morning, just to let you know. It's a little darker. I made it stronger today because I stayed up too late last night, and it took a while for me to wake up today. I was going to ask, did Northern Iowa get, or Northern Florida get a little bit of snow last night? One of the headlines was talking about Jacksonville, and I didn't know if they were talking about Florida or not. Bonnie said they got so much snow and drifted up around the car. Ours is a little bit on the wet side, but the heck of it is, my thermometer out there says it's only 14 degrees. So the only thing I can think of is last night it must have been quite a bit warmer when I was moving snow. And Bella, is that how you pronounce that name, Bella? Good morning. Good morning, Helen, Tank Girl, Teresa, Scampy Girl, Bonnie, Sylvia. Let's see who else we got there. Tammy B, Ruth, CO. Who else we got here? Lindy. The Linda Life. How you doing this morning, Linda? Looks like Linda's making cookies this morning. I don't have any cookies or rolls or anything this morning. I'm going to have to settle for whenever I get done here, I'll have some eggs and waffles, I guess, today. Oh, I wouldn't mind being down in Florida today for sure. When the cold weather finally settles in and the realization that the snow is not as much fun when it's that deep, then you look for weather that's over 70 and clear skies, and certainly you want it warmer than it is here. Concerned Planet. This is, I have this code for some reason. King Paco, good morning. How are you doing today? Yeah, I'm with you, Ruth. It kind of gets achy in the mornings when, especially the cold weather. Well, I'm glad King Paco is doing awesome today. Uh, it takes me a while during the day to feel to the point where I say awesome. Bonnie says she's not looking forward to the shoveling. The other day I went out and I started my snowblower up. I wanted to make sure it was ready to go, and it took right off. It's been 8 months since I last used it, so I was pretty happy. When I put it away last fall, I made sure I put some stuff in the gas so it wouldn't get all gummed up, and it's always been in a shed or in my garage, and it's easy to operate. Everything's controls from up here. It's got like triggers on the side to turn it right or left. It's got a on for the wheels and an on for the blower. It's a 3-stage blower on there, and it has like a pogo stick or whatever they call it on top that you redirect the direction of snow and the height of it. You can pull back and it runs it higher. It's pretty nice. I bought it when I was having trouble trying to bowl the other one around. The other one was self-propelled, but it didn't necessarily turn as easy, and it didn't work anywhere near as good. So I live in Iowa, Tank Girl. I live. It's kind of like almost central Iowa, off from Highway 63. Highway 63 runs north and south. When you get to 80, and I'm south of Interstate 80. We seem to get a lot of cold weather here because the way the jet stream comes out of Canada, it kind of loops down into our state and comes back up, and then it moves across like this. So I get nailed pretty hard every year, every time there's a cold snap. With that snowblower I've got, as long as I move it slow enough with the 3-stage, it throws the snow pretty fair. If it gets real wet, then it wants to clog up, and there's not much I can do about that. I just have to stop it every once in a while and try to clear it. Yeah, I'm not so much that I like to shovel snow, that's for sure. It's bad enough when I do it on the deck back here. I do have a smaller electric snowblower that once in a while I'll use it on the back deck. I just plug it in, and it does a good job. But it's just the idea of getting it out and doing that. And then I have to put it somewhere where it won't freeze up when I shut it down. So I do have a boot tray. I can bring it in and set it on that. And then when it melts off, I just knock the water off. But, oh, let's see. Scampy's at 31 degrees here, but with the wind chill, it feels like 10. Yeah. Sylvia says, they have a skid steer to push the snow. I wish I had one to do that with. Teresa says she has a son that lives in Mason City. Years ago, before I retired, I remodeled the Hy-Vee store up there in Mason City. And I built the Hy-Vee gas station up there. And I remodeled both stores up there. That's been quite a while ago. I was up there for about a year and a half. I stayed at the campground over there at the lake. I think it's in Clear Lake. Anybody that doesn't know where Clear Lake is, that's where they say the rock and roll died, where we lost our early rock and roll singers over there, Buddy Holly being one, the Big Bopper, and one other. Ritchie Valley. It was their plane crashed in a field up there. When I first got up there, before I brought my RV up there to stay, I stayed at the motel right across from where the club was that they played at up there. Back then, everything was kind of a lot fancier. Tank Girl says, I've not visited Central States, traveled the East and West Coast. Need to come back over and see some more of the country. My wife and I got to travel almost everywhere in the United States after our children were grown. And sometimes we flew, and sometimes we drove. And then when we retired, we had a motorhome so that we got around. We've had this house for over 20 years. Before that, we had a place in Des Moines. We had bought houses in different places. And a lot of times it looks like I lived in some of them, but a lot of times we were just remodeling and for resale. Ruth says she lives in Michigan, the Mitten State. I like mittens, and the reason being, for some reason, my hands stay warmer in a mitten than they do in a glove. All about the alternatives. Good morning. Let's see, have I missed anybody this morning? Quad State said, condolences on your wife. It's been a few months, and I'm starting to get my feet on the ground. It's very confusing not having my wife here sometimes. My wife was a good one for notes and things like that, and she kept track of things on the calendar. And so while she was here, I never had to worry about whether I took medicine or not, because it was a daily practice. Did you take your medicine today, or did you do whatever it was, task? And she's not here, so I'm having to be responsible now. And it's not as easy as what I thought it would be. Now I don't remind all those times that she would get after me a little bit because I hadn't done something. That what it really amounted to is I just depended on her for a lot of things, and the realization of it didn't happen till she wasn't here. And I'm sorry for it, and I miss her dearly. Luckily, I've got our pets, and they get me up in the morning. They make sure I do my exercise by walking around in the yard with them, taking them back and forth. Next week, my cat goes in for her physical. Sparky was in the physical this last week. So everything is kind of getting back into a groove again. And I'm hoping it continues. I've got times where it's very lonesome. And my daughters and my son, they keep my phone kind of busy, and my neighbors do too. So I'm lucky in the aspect that I haven't been abandoned. It's there's a lot of people out there, and of course the internet here. And one of the reasons I did starting to do this live in the mornings is just to give me something as a routine to get up here and going again. Wow, Teresa, 11 and a half months of winter up there. Wow. That would be tough to get through. I know my wife and I both liked warm weather. We used to live in Texas, and before that in Louisiana. And when we come back up north, it was a rude awakening. We almost forgot what it was like. But right off the bat, we got slapped with winter and a lot of snow, and it brought it back to us real quick. King Baco says, I used to live in New York, used to live in Orlando, Florida, used to live in California, San Diego, and now in Massachusetts. You went right back up in the cold there. You're up there where Bruce lives. Last time I was in Massachusetts, it's been over 30 years since I was there. All about the attorney. Hello, good morning. I forgot to say hi to you. Says, it takes time to get into a new routine after a long time. This one, I'm hoping everything works out okay. It's just an experiment to see if people want to come on and talk a little bit. I wanted to hear mainly for a lot of you out there, so that if you want to get on here and give your opinion about things or get a subject going, that's the big thing of it. And that's why I'm watching mostly the stream over here today. I don't have any kind of an agenda whatsoever for myself. I'm just on here to try to provide maybe a service if it'll work out. I don't know. The other thing is it gives me an excuse to have a cup of coffee. All about says we just got snow in Toronto last night. This temperature I got out here today, I think it's the coldest one we've had this year. I'm not sure. Or at least it's the coldest one I've noticed. 14 is really something. My pup went out this morning. He wasn't out there 3 or 4 minutes, and he was tiptoeing back in pretty quick. I didn't have to tell him to come. He was ready. Phyllis says, good morning, and good morning to you too, Phyllis. What Bonnie says she's got to get started with getting stuff done. All right, Bonnie, we'll see you later. Now, today, really, I'm going to try to cut it off when it's been an hour. Part of it is if it gets too long, it gets too boring. The other part is I'm going to be hungry by 9 o'clock today. So it is right now, it's 8:44 here, just so you guys know, Central Standard Time. All about the alternative. Started a new job a few weeks ago. I haven't had time to be online even for my own channel. Wow. What kind of a job did you start? Judith, good morning. Yeah, I agree. I hope the mess that we've been involved in all this time is over one of these days. Sooner the better. I don't know what all it's going to take to bring an end to it. Once the courts are brought into it, there's no stepping out. You have to complete that trip. There's nothing else you can do about it. What else we got? Tank Girl says her pup loves the cold. Mine don't mind it till it gets down there where it kind of freezes his paws. When it gets down below about, I'd say 40 degrees, he doesn't want to stay out there as much. And in the summertime, he's got his favorite spots where there's shade out there. And that's where he'll sit and watch the yard during the day. Linda says that Target has her working too many mornings this time of the year. Yeah, I imagine you guys have a lot of specials going on, Linda, around there. Getting people to come in and shop is probably the busiest time of the year, I'm assuming. Sequoia, I didn't notice you earlier, but good morning to you. Cat Lady, good morning to you. Cat lady said her cat got on her lap shivering and he asked for jammies. Yesterday afternoon, my pup crawled up in the chair. This is after he'd been out a while. It always makes him extra tired when I come in. But my chair is an oversized one that I have, a recliner, and he crawled up there, and then the cat crawled up on my lap and went to sleep. So there was 3 of us sleeping in that chair yesterday. Have you ever seen the old Rapture movies filmed in Iowa, A Thief in the Night and 3 Hours? I don't remember seeing anything like that, Quad State. I have been looking at your channel from time to time. I don't always leave something in there. I did see you had looked like a trail cam set up there in Otter Creek. That was kind of interesting. What was really interesting is some of them noticed it and didn't bother it or take it. I'm surprised that somebody didn't take it with them. Do you have much problem with people stealing your cameras when you have them out there? And that's just a question. Scampy said that she got the heating pad out for her kitty. What my cat likes is a towel across the lap. She thinks that's the greatest thing in the world for her. She will climb up on me, either up on my stomach sometimes. When she was real little, she used to get clear up here, and when I'm laid back in my recliner, and she'd fall asleep up there. She used to grab a hold of my hand or my fingers and try to hold on to them. Let's see. All about your staying with some friends till you get a new place. Good luck. Have you got something in mind that you're going to rent or purchase? You lock your cameras up. How do you lock them up if you have a trail camera on a tree or something? Quad State. I was going to put a couple of cameras up on my property here, not to watch people, but because I live on the edge of the country and I have a spring-fed little stream back here. We get a lot of deer, and at one time we had a bobcat out here on our. We used to have bushes in my backyard, and the inside of them were kind of hollowed out. They were tall. The bushes were probably 10, 12 foot tall, and we kept hearing it back there, but we didn't know where it was at. I just wanted to know what kind of wildlife I've got around here. We've got fox a lot of times, and raccoon, and of course possums and rabbits. Not as much as it used to be, but they're still out there from time to time. Every once in a while, the deer get up into one of my neighbor's yards up here, and you'll see them prancing around. He has corn that he feeds the squirrels, and the deer will come up there, I think, to get that. Ruth says her cat got up by the TV box for cable, staying warm. My cat, every once in a while, she'll watch the TV. She'll see something on there. I don't know why she does, but she gets interested in it. She likes my computer. And it took a while to teach her not to mess with the buttons up here. Sometimes I'd come back and it'd be all scrolled up. But she likes to watch to see what's going on here. And my telephone, I use FaceTime on it when I'm talking to the kids. And both my pets recognize the voices of my kids, and they'll sit there and watch. So. Many of them have a loop you can put a cable through. I made one up. It uses a vinyl covered steel cable made of bikes. That's a good idea. Huh. Oh, Jenny, good morning. I didn't see you till just now. Has everybody had their coffee this morning? As you can see, I'm still. It says all about alternative. My husband is waiting to get into his next superintendent job. It's live, or it's live-in. Should know in a few days. Oh, great. Good luck. Tank Girl says she's going to pick up her new camper van next week. Very exciting. Yeah, you'll have to put some pictures up or something if you get it. You're on your second cup, Tammy? Great. I was thinking about having a Pepsi this morning, but it's so cold out there that right now I'm going to have to wait till I settled into getting warm before I throw something cold in. Phyllis says she's on her third cup. You should be pretty wide awake by now then. And Sylvia says she drinks coffee all day, but it's decaf. Okay. I've never drank the decaf as regularly. I have drank it before, and it's okay. Of course, I put other stuff in my coffee. I seldom drink it just black. Years ago, when I worked construction, I preferred it black so that I wouldn't have too much aftertaste. The Linda Life. Kitten jumped up on the table Thanksgiving and singed her tail with one of the candles. Oh, wow. Your granddaughter was there to seeing your cat get her tail singed. Okay. Usually they're pretty careful around a heat source, especially the flame. Although they'd like to look at the flame, I think. Yeah, cat. Usually, once they take notice that they've got burned or singed a little bit, usually it's pretty hard to catch them. They're gone. Tea first and then coffee. I've never been a big tea drinker, but I use it as an alternative sometimes. My wife loved tea, and so I've got plenty of different types of tea here in the house. Jenny says her husband worked offshore drill in the late 70s and said good morning. Yeah, I lived in Houma, Louisiana, and a lot of the guys that worked offshore actually lived in Houma. And a lot of those rigs were made over in Morgan City. That was it. In Morgan City, you see a lot of drilling rigs sitting on their side too, or used to. It's been over 30 years since I was in that area. It's a good living, or it was back then. I had thought about at one time switching over to trying to work on a rig rather than the nuclear plants that I was on. But yeah, I was a pretty good welder years ago. So there's a lot of different things that I worked on that was industrial. Skoy says, I enjoyed your comments on Lisa's last night. My problem is sometimes I talk and I don't necessarily. Sometimes I don't try, but sometimes I fill in too much on it. My wife used to say that I'm too much of a talker, and she used to get after me one time to share the stage because other people would like to talk too and get carried away. Cat Lady says, I put cocoa in my coffee and creamer. It's not such a bad idea. A lot of people have strong coffee and a little bit of chocolate, bitter chocolate on the side. And that tastes pretty good, believe it or not. Drip and drink my coffee with cream. I like real cream in my coffee occasionally. When I was young, of course, we didn't have the stuff we had today, like, different powdered creamers and stuff. So we did use real cream in our coffee when we had, and sometimes we used Carnation if we didn't have fresh cream, Carnation, which is concentrated milk. You're right, Ruth. It is a good day to make chili. And my wife always made homemade chili, and she would make a pretty good pot of it. And my daughter, when she makes it, she puts rice on the side as a filler, and then you put a little rice in your bowl, and then you put your chili on it, or vice versa, however you want to do it. And it's great that way. We never did it till she showed us. So it shows you children can re-educate you as you age, because they come along with the newest or latest and greatest. And then when I lived in Texas, the chili most of the time was a pot with the meat in it, and then jalapenos and things like that, tomato, whatever. But we had a pot of beans on the side that maybe it simmered for quite a few hours, and then you just put however amount of beans you wanted in there. So it was good. I like all kinds of it. Ellen says, you're just detail-oriented. Sequoia says she likes half and half in her coffee. I can't drink coffee unless it's doctored up a bit. I do like it customized to my own taste. But I think when I was young, it didn't matter a whole lot. And we drank coffee when we were real young. We were allowed to drink it when we were, 8, 9, 10 years old. We didn't sit there and drink lots of cups, but we might have a cup with our breakfast. Sometimes we took toast and put it in the middle of our plate. And then we'd put an egg, and it was usually sunny side up. And then we'd pour just a little bit of coffee with cream and sugar in the coffee over the whole thing. And that was kind of a good breakfast. I don't know if any of you have ever had anything like that, but it's just something that we did in our family. Queen says, have you ever traveled outside your country? I've been to Spain and England and Germany. I've been all over Germany because I was in service over there in Germany. I've been to the French border a few times. I didn't travel in France. When I first got in Germany, it was in the early 60s, and our army had just pretty much moved out of France and moved all of our equipment up into Germany. And I don't know, France didn't want us there in their country anymore. Matter of fact, when I went in, that France was French. I wanted to go to France, is where I wanted to go. But at that time, our military pulled out. I always wanted to see France. And I guess if I could do it today, I'd probably love to travel over there. But I did meet a lot of people in Germany from all different countries and enjoyed it, the different cultures and stuff. And one of the first things I had to do was take a German course. We had to get our license, and we had to understand the enough of the language and read it so that we could travel the roads over there. And so that first 3 or 4 months I was in Germany, was pretty busy. I mean, really busy. Jenny said, hey, good morning, Jenny. I listened last night and was there and fell asleep. It's easy to, that time of the night, man. Yeah, it's easy to fall asleep. I do it all the time. uh, the chat goes too fast sometimes in Lisa's. Yeah, they get going pretty good. What was I thinking? How are you doing this morning? And Videla says, I listened last night and no, my husband says I have a little coffee with my creamer. Nothing wrong with that. Sequoia says, I remember my first sips of coffee. My dad let me sip his coffee for a bit, and then boy, oh boy, I become so hot. I wired. I was 14 or so at the time. I think my brothers and I were wired when we were born. We lived right, the country was, if you looked out our door, you go 75 yards and you're in farm country. There's a bridge there, and then across on the other side, it's all farms. And we spent a lot of time on the farms, and then along the creek, it was woods for miles in either direction. And so it was like a playground for us. And we loved it. We all spent a lot of time, more time outside than we did inside most of the time in decent weather. In the creek down there, we'd play, we cleared areas out in the wintertime and kind of play, tin can hockey. But we'd have our bonfires and things like that down there when we were young and get together. So we had a good time back then. We didn't have a lot of the things they have today, especially not like this. And we didn't have TV when I was young. So it was a whole different world. Queen of my house says, I find the French arrogant, in my opinion. They're just kind of self-indulgent is kind of what I found. A lot of times it's more of a I don't care type attitude. Life comes as it is. I really loved it in Germany. It was almost spotless. There was no cigarette butts, no cans, no bottles, nothing like that anywhere in the street. I used to walk in the woods, where we were at. There's woods all the way around our base and stuff. And when I first went over there, we were in the mountains. It was impressive. Everything is picked up and neat and put away. It was a different culture than the United States as far as how they conducted themselves. Let's put it that way. And at that time, they were being occupied by France, United States, and England. So all three countries had their bases in Germany. And sometimes we were almost side by side. The base I was on, and there was actually a German base right next to it. There was hardly any distance between the two. So. All about it says a friend did 25 years in the Canadian Army, spent a good portion of it in Berlin. Berlin, when I was over there, they were encircled by Russia, and for quite a bit of time, the only way you could get in and out of Berlin was you had to fly in. You weren't allowed to take the roads, and food, necessities, and stuff like that were all brought in via the airplanes. It was kind of a touchy time. That was when they called it Cold War, obviously. It's kind of hard to believe that an ally that we had supplied a huge amount of equipment for considered us their biggest enemy. I have no idea why. I never looked at it close enough to try to understand it. I just know that Russia didn't care for us in any way, and they would stop us way before you get to the fences. And we weren't allowed. There's a 5K zone on the border, east-west, and we weren't allowed in there unless we were on guard patrol. I happened at that time I was in the 14th Armored Cav, and Fulda was our area where we actually would go to when we'd guard our portion of the border. Bob Kissigan back then was a tourist area. But, I'm glad things are changed and they got their country all back in one piece, and Europe, for the most part, probably settled into the borders that they had at one time. Russia seems to be kind of an aggressive country from time to time. I don't know why. The people that I met that were from Russia, the citizens, they were pretty nice people. And I've met, there was quite a few that actually come to the United States. I went to school with a fellow that was from Russia, well-spoken. I just don't know what happens. I don't know if it's all politics or what. Doreen, good morning. I see, says, you're getting snow now. Don't know how much. It says, if they know you don't speak French, it's all over. Actually, when I was over there, it wasn't too bad. I did know a couple people that were French, and I didn't have any problem with them. And I don't know how hard French would be to learn. I correspond with somebody from France, yet today. And that family is actually very friendly, but not just with, I'm just one of a lot of different correspondents that is in this kind of a circle. He says, my father-in-law fed my son coffee on his finger before he was 24 hours old. Is your son a coffee drinker now? That's Paulette. Singapore is spotless, Queen of Town. Yeah, I haven't been to any Asian countries. I had a neighbor that lived in China for quite a few years. This is when I was young, and had brought back a lot of silk things like shawls, and he even had it's not a coat, but like I don't know what you call it, but it was pure silk. It was really neat. I had never seen anything like that. And I was young when that. Sequoia said, I want to travel to Japan. My husband went there. I could not accompany him. He says it's fantastic. I don't doubt it. And Badal said, Sequoia, Japan is on my bucket list. Oh, when you travel, if you can find out how different we all are or can be. Yeah, we share one space. Unfortunately, work gets in the way, stopping most. I think for the most part, when you go to other countries, depending how you act, is kind of how they react back to you. What I've seen in some countries was that Americans themselves, it seemed like they had quite a bit of money compared to a lot of the people in Europe. And sometimes they acted a little, not necessarily uppity, but like they had the whole world. And people do get jealous if you appear like you have something they don't. So you can get an attitude going. They're going to smile while you hand over your money. The best thing to do is don't act like a tourist. And try to, whatever country you go in, try to at least learn the greetings so that you can say thank you and please and stuff like that. The German language was really polite. Everything was bitte and Dankeschön, something like that. It's just I don't know if all European countries are that way or not. My house has been a pleasure finding you on YouTube, right? I don't say that lightly. Good content is getting harder to find. This thing is supposed to be mainly for the people who want to come in here and just talk back and forth to each other. And I can every once in a while bring something up on here for everybody to hear it if they can't see it on here. I appreciate you coming on. It's just a get together. Like, years ago, people used to get in the park and talk with each other and walk around. And the little town I lived in, we had a popcorn stand and we had free band on a pavilion and things like that. It was a farm community. The farmers would come in on the weekend, Friday night and Saturday, and everybody had a good time. Hopefully I can recreate something like this. I don't know if it'll work or not. I can tell you this little segment on here gets a lot of replay on other channels, and they do everything they can to just tear it apart. They treat it like taffy. They stretch it out and let it snap back and all. Yeah. They're never satisfied. They don't want to take it for what it is. Queen my house says, don't go to Japan if you have a bad back. Bowing 100 times a day is a nightmare. I think you might get used to it. I don't know. My back don't bend very well anymore. I have a metal in my back that goes all the way down to S1 down there somewhere. And down there I have a bone graft with a spacer. So my back is pretty stiff back there. I bend it part way up, and yeah, I do bend down there, but not much. And I can't twist. I step to the side. Jenny says, I used to meet at the coffee shop Saturdays. I look forward to morning coffee with Uncle Ray. Thanks. When years ago, when I was in my 20s and early 30s, I was in business. I had a construction company, very small one. And the business people in that town would meet uptown at the cafe and have a cup of coffee and a long table in there that was just for the people who came in and wanted to meet and sit down there. And usually it'd be anywhere from a half hour to, say, an hour. The retirees a lot of times would be in there longer than that, but the way to start the morning out and get out and run. And then there was one day a week for golf in the afternoons. Now, I didn't golf back then, but my neighbor did. And he was in his, I think, late 70s or early 80s, and he got his first hole in one. And the whole town was, in a celebration mode when he did that. He was the town barber. He was known by there wasn't anybody that didn't know the guy. And he happened to be one of my neighbors there. He was overjoyed. That was quite a deal. Let's see. Oh, yeah, we're getting pretty close to where we'll probably call it an end pretty quick. I hope all of you have enjoyed just kind of relaxing, and nothing, on the agenda is earth-shattering, and it's kind of a time where you can relax and be yourself if you want. And you're more than welcome. I'll try to keep this up as long as you people want to come in here and utilize this. We won't call it mine, we'll call it ours. How's that? It'll be our time for chat, or our chat. Maybe we could even rename this first hour of the day that we can get together. And we can laugh. If you want to laugh, that's fine. We can laugh together. We can laugh at each other. And we can do it without hurting each other's feelings. That's great. So it almost brings me back to when the greatest gift we could give was something out of our yard, from the apple tree or cherry tree or out of our garden. Everybody was so happy to share. They never worried about who got the most. When I was growing up, kids, I don't remember any kids harassing like older people. Back then, without a TV, you looked to the older people for your stories and a lot of knowledge. And it didn't matter how old you were. It seemed like they were your best friend. They had the cookies and the hot chocolate and the time to sit with you and listen to your story as well as you listen to theirs. Today, nobody takes or has the time to just chat. You can chat about anything if you want, whatever comes in mind. And it doesn't have to be toxic in any way. If you talk about something that makes you happy and makes other people happy, they're going to share their happy story with you too. And I can't think of a better way to pass the day. This area that I live in, and I have told you over and over, I've been here over 22 years. Actually, it might be 23. And the neighbors here, none of them discuss toxic things. And it's always asking how your family's doing or how you're doing, or if it's newsworthy, it's usually good news. And we wish each other well in bad times and things like that. I'm so thankful that my wife and I found something like this. The bigger cities, it's a little harder. Sometimes you can live next door to somebody for 20 years and never really know them at all, other than waving at them when you go in and out of your drive. When I lived in the Des Moines area, I did know the neighbors around there. And for the most part, I didn't have a problem with them. Sometimes you had somebody that would rev their engines up late at night or something like that, and it would upset you, but not enough to where you'd make an enemy. Now, one of my neighbors was a lot younger than I was, but he was a good mechanic. And so we worked back and forth on our vehicles. He loved classic cars, and I did too. Back then, I'd buy one once in a while and put it in my garage, and we'd rebuild it, do whatever we had to. And the people on the corner, they had a child care service, but it was very professional. Their backyard had toys and swings and stuff, but it was never so loud that you couldn't stand it. You'd hear the kids get boisterous once in a while, but it wasn't a big deal. You get used to it very quickly. Our yard was nice. It had it was like a show place. My wife had it all fixed up, and we enjoyed it. When we came here, we had a lot more ground, a little more distance between neighbors, but we actually had more neighboring going on. It was more like a daily thing of talking back and forth. It's kind of a joke. My back fence is like the tool man's fence. My neighbor, Dennis, over there, we talk through the fence several times a week. We just do. And if it's real important, we go around the fence. And their great-grandson, he was broke in from the time he was around 2 years old. He talks through the fence. He looks through where the little spacing is and talks back and forth. So it's just like a ritual around here, what people do. And small towns are that way. Tank Girl says her pup is yelling at her. She's got to go. Take her out. Catch you next time. Okay, Tank Girl. All About It says they used to do that here in the malls to walk around. The malls were a good place to walk and get your exercise. You could go in there in inclement weather, and along with the exercise, you could see what's going on in the storefronts as well. They were good deals. And then Bello says it's good to have coffee and chat. I do not get out much. Well, we can count this as a place to where we can get out and chat. And we don't have to worry about the negative aspect. If it comes up, it comes up. But I mean, for the most part, let's just have a good time. You should see me if I watch Jeremy. I only watch bits and pieces here and there. Tears run down my face. He's such a funny little fellow. His sidekick, not so much. Oh, I'll be able to join in on weekends. Okay, all about health alternative. Okay. Once we are in our own home again, I'll have my regular computer back. I can be online more in the evening again. That's great. Sometimes, I don't know if you have a tablet or not, they're pretty convenient to utilize. You can carry them around, and for the most part, it's easier than messing with a computer. But it says, Helen says, our local mall would open an hour early for seniors only, just so they could walk the mall. It was a mile long. I think when I lived in the Des Moines area, one of the malls there used to open up early for the older people to walk. You're right. The heck of it is, most of the time it was the same people walking the area, and a good amount of the time it was the retired man and wife doing that walking. So Strictly said, "Can I drink hot tea?" Of course you can. You drink it with 1 lump or 2 lumps, Strictly. Jenny says Boston did their windows with toys, trains. Love to go see them every year. When I was a kid, we used to love to go downtown because the big department stores would put, steam engines and things like that in there going around, and little villages, all different things at Christmas scenes, and of course the songs and stuff. And it's one time of the year that children are really welcome when you come in the door. Everything was wondrous back then. To me, it was such a big world and so much fun. And I think our parents had about as much fun as us kids did. And I don't know if it was because they were watching us or if they just enjoyed the rituals of Christmas itself when they would go downtown. At church played a big part back in those holidays. And we would be in plays with the church, and we would recite different things and perform for the people out there in the congregation. It was a good time. Back then, the churches provided a lot of the entertainment, and at the same time, it was a teaching time for children. And it showed later on because children had that moral base from something like that. I feel kind of bad that that isn't part of the lifestyle as much today as it was back then. It was a different time, and a different generation of people came up. We're losing those generations that were raised back then, but it was a quieter time. Jenny said her mom and dad walk them all the time. Strictly says, I drink my tea bitter, no lumps. Okay. All right. You can put honey in there. It actually tastes pretty good with honey. I prefer honey as a sweetener whenever I can. And I've always got some here. And by the way, maple syrup, I've got that here too. You can sweeten things up with maple syrup. And I don't consider maple syrup a luxury. I think it's a necessity. Sequoia says it truly was the good old days. Laptop, tablet, and phone, but my computer is easier to do my channel and be online. It just works better. My camera equipment too. Everything is storage right now. Well, hopefully you get settled in pretty quick, and you'll be able to get everything back out and be a little more comfortable in getting back on your channel. Queen of the House is on. Try to get through Christmas Day. Sad but true. Christmas, when we look at, and I used to sing White Christmas every year, the Bing Crosby version of it. And I did it to remind people of our Savior. That, to me, that was the greatest gift of all. And it always brings it back to me. I used to do it in July too, Christmas in July. Drive around, look at the decorations. As Jenny said. I do like to drive around and see the different decorations. And today there are so many out there, they have those blow up stuff. My wife and I used to have a shed out here full of those Christmas blow ups. And the day come where it was hard for us to do it, mainly because you have to bend over and do things. And then laying out all your cords to get things going, making sure you can keep them serviceable. And it got to the day where it was pretty hard. So some of the stuff I gave to one of my neighbors, and the balance of stuff I give to my daughter. She could utilize them a lot better than I could. But it's been, I think, 6-7 years since my wife and I had put them out. We used to decorate our deck back here, though. My wife had some special trees that she liked to put back there that had music, a music box that played different Christmas songs. And then we have some deer, looks like they're taking off the ground. But other than that, we had cut back on the stuff that was in our yard. Queen of my house said that Christmas is a beautiful time for decorations. It certainly is. People get out there and show their talent. What's the matter, Sparky? Okay, be good. He's got to show his boss. Boy, he's loud. He must hear something out there. I didn't hear. Maybe my phone was out there. Maybe it rang. Okay, well, I went past my hour by about 15 minutes. I want to wish all of you a good day. Tomorrow's Monday. Good Lord willing, I'll get back on here now. First thing tomorrow, I do have an appointment in another town. Yeah, let's see. And it is, I may have to put this off till after lunch tomorrow. I forgot about that. I have to take lab tests tomorrow. So when I get back from that, I'll open this up for a short period of time. And I'll try to put a notice up there hour before I get on here to give you guys a chance to look for it. Thank you for being here today and so being so gracious. The one thing is nobody can gripe about our channel today. We've kept it very clean, and it was refreshing to get on here and just talk. It shows you we can be boring and fun at the same time. And I'm just kidding about the boring part, obviously. Everybody, please have a good day. And with that, I'm going to bid you a goodbye. And I'll end the stream where? Right here. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe. Well, I know that if you're in here, you're already subscribed because I put a limit on this who can be in here, mainly just to keep it from people from coming in and being ignorant or trying to upset people. That's why I put you have to be subscriber for at least 20 minutes to be able to comment. So it helps. That's all. If it wasn't for some of those comments that were coming and going, I would open it up completely. You wouldn't have to subscribe or anything. But I do appreciate anybody being here. With that, I enjoyed everybody's conversation today. I hope I didn't miss any of you. Noreen, I don't think I got you. Let's see. Jenny, Tammy, Helen, Doreen, Teresa, Strictly, Scampy, Helen, all about the alternative. Linda Life. Linda, I thought you'd be on your way to work, but thank you for coming in here. You've been a steady subscriber for a long time, Linda. And I'm glad that I found your channel, and I'm glad you found mine. By the way, Linda kind of changed careers to a certain extent, and she also has a channel of her own. And I would like to see her channel grow one of these days. I know that she's very talented. And if you want to know anything about cake decorating or something like that, or cooking in a bakery, Linda would be the one to go to for advice. I'll bet you she knows a lot about all that stuff. She's now working in a department store. And as far as I know, she's enjoying it. She seems to be a very happy person. So, Linda, my hat's off to you. You've showed all of us how to change a career, and I'll be thankful for it. So, well, with that, and there's Helen down there says, bye, Germ. All right. We can have a good time on here, and we won't have to worry. By the way, I don't have any restrictions. Anybody that's out there that's willing to behave yourself is welcome on my channel to talk in a chat like this. I would not say that you're not a friend just because you're a friend of somebody else's. We all have our different tastes for the things that tickle our fancy. And on here, you can be yourself. You don't have to do anything else. Just bring the things to you that mean the most. Was the mountain you mentioned in Jefferson, Vermont, Smuggler's Notch? You must have been talking to somebody up there, but I don't know who it was. I know the mountain that in Vermont that I went over that was the highest point on the East Coast had a sign at the very top up there. And it was snowing when we were going up there, and it was in July. Not a lot, just a little bit. And at the base of the mountain, it was in the 80s. But by the time we got up, it quickly got into the 70s, and it kept on dropping as we went up. Good roads all the way, and a lot of good things to see. With that, Linda says she hasn't done anything on her channel for a while. Thank you, Ray. Possibly we'll get back to things in 2026. Linda, I look forward to you getting back into your, especially the decorative end. And I know you could share some recipes with us and show us the different things. I think you'd be a big success. Your Lutheran News, Ray rules. Doggone it, Rich, I'm just getting off and you're just getting in here. I was on, been on here a little bit too long is what I've been on here. But thanks for coming in, Rich. I really appreciate it. I can tell you, Rich, you and I are on the top of the list for a lot of channels out there. I don't know how you and I got so famous, but we are. And do what you can do to get Mike back on the YouTube. He shouldn't have to be isolated out there because of his views. Anybody that reports the news the way he does and does such a good job, the two of you need to be out there to give the rest of us the insights. So still not served. Oh my goodness. I don't know what to say. You're a hard man to get a hold of. So Rich, I don't know where to say, I hope you get served or I hope you don't. I know you're itching to get into the mix. So I'm looking, if you end up being part of the mix, I'll welcome you aboard on that. But sometimes you're better off to fight the battle on the outside. It says Germ will lose either way. It's just a matter of how big. I think the blocks are about to fall. I think Humpty Dumpty is going to be the loser one of us all. And there's not going to be anybody there to put the pieces back together. But anyway, with that, everybody, I want you to have a great day out there. And see you tomorrow, but it'll have to be in the afternoon. I forgot about the appointment tomorrow. Lab reports, they're important. See you later.